Reality is you have cancer every single day of your life. You go to sleep with it, you go to work with it, you eat with it, you talk to your friends with it. Every single day you deal with it. From the time you get up to the time you lay down. The faith part of it is God is above all, above cancer, above anything.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl KB, and today you are joining me and my guest in the Heart Seat, where we give people the opportunity to have conversations that are honest, elephant-sized, authentic, real, and transparent. Today's guests are just super dope, if you ask me. We have Ros and Ray Singleton on the show today. She is known on Instagram as I am Ros Royal, and he is known as Willie_cool with a Q. Today is going to be a tearjerker, y'all, but I am really excited today to dive into Rosalind's story around surviving cancer. Not once, but twice. Rosalind and Ray, welcome to the show.
Thank you, KB. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So excited.
Seriously, thank you.
So excited.
Thank you.
Man, I have followed y'all's story just this year. I don't know how at some point you came through my feed and I was like, oh, like I need to know all of the things. And so it makes me very, very happy that you were willing to have this conversation. We're going to jump in and just talk about it. I'm going to ask you 5 questions that are honest, elephant size, authentic, real, and transparent. So your first question has to do with being honest. So 2013, you're living your life and all of a sudden you find out that you've been diagnosed, right, with brain cancer. What were your honest feelings in the moment?
So in 2013, unfortunately, Ray and I hadn't crossed paths. 2013 was the first time that I found out, and I found out with my dad. My first initial thoughts, honestly, KB, were, this is not a big deal. And I only say that to say because, like I've told the story before, a year and a half prior to me finding out that I had brain cancer, my mother passed away very suddenly. So losing my mother very suddenly, when brain cancer came around, honestly, I hate to say it this way, but it just didn't faze me because I had suffered such a tremendous loss from losing my mother. But it kind of put life into perspective. It was 7 years ago, so I was just turning 30. So dirty 30s was rolling real tight. But it kind of censored me a little bit, but at the same time, it didn't affect me as much as I'm sure it would affect some other person because of the other things that I already had going on in my life, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I think that you tap into something that I don't think a lot of us realize. And that is when we're processing through maybe grief or the trauma of something else, sometimes we don't keep up with other grief and other trauma that comes. You get what I mean? So I think you hit, yeah, like that.
Yeah. And honestly, KB, I think it's another thing is how people compartmentalize things in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like they take it and like, this isn't such a big deal. So let me put it over here while I deal with this. And I honestly think that's what I did when it came to the brain surgery, the brain cancer the first time. I just put it in a box and was like, you know what? They said they can fix it, so let's fix it. And that's really what I did. I had brain surgery and I went through cancer treatment, radiation and chemo the first time. And I was fine. I was like, oh, I'm good. All right, let's go. So the first time, honestly, at 30, it didn't hit me dead in the face. I'm not going to lie to you. It didn't.
Okay, so then moving on to the elephant in the room, right? When you find out you have any kind of like terminal illness or anything, what is that thing that's there that everybody sees but nobody wants to look at, right? That when we think about the elephant in the room, that's what it is. Either it's an elephant-sized issue, something larger than life, which this conversation is already larger than life, right? But what is that thing that everybody sees when you find out you have a terminal illness that nobody really wants to talk about?
So I feel the first thing that people think when you tell them that you have cancer is, oh, you're going to die. Mm-hmm. No, you're not going to die. It's also, I feel like people want to give you that, oh, it's going to be okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? That kind of coddled, I don't really want to discuss it, but I want to be there for you type deal. I feel like that's what happens. And when Ray and I initially found out back in October of 2019 that I had to have, or that the cancer or the tumor had come back, we didn't tell anybody. I told my dad, of course. We told Ray's immediate family. And I told my closest friends, and that's it. We didn't tell social media or anybody what was going on until the day before I had surgery. So from October until January, we were carrying that elephant in the room every single day with us. Not telling everybody, not telling anybody, just honestly, KB, we trusted God and prayed every day. We didn't feel the need to tell anybody because we told the person that mattered. So once you tell him, he ain't really got to tell nobody.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. Come on.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole word right there. Listen, have you talked to him? Oh, that's the whole thing. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox because I love Jesus, but that's not what we're not talking about that right now. So even though he's in all of it, he's listen. No, for real. I mean, you walk in miracle as far as I'm concerned. You know, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the grace of God and His goodness is just, it permeates your story. You get what I mean? So I'm just gonna keep it a buck and say that it would be very difficult not to see again just the hand of God on this from jump. And I didn't even know if you was a believer or not. So you get what I mean? Like, so I just think it's really, really dope. Just to hear the story and to hear again, like a little bit of your faith journey too. You know what I'm saying? Like I missed it. So that's really dope. It's really cool to me. After you battle something twice, right? And again, you're not even giving us the ins and outs of this thing, right? How do you continue to show up as your most authentic self? Like even just now in meeting you and your energy just coming through the screen, like your the hope that you seem to have, like how do you maintain that? How do you not lose yourself amidst the circumstances that are happening around you, just as period, as you as an individual, but then in your marriage, like how does that even?
I'll answer in a two parts. So I'll answer how I do it first and then how I do it in my marriage. Honestly, KB, the way that I do it is my mom. And I'm gonna try not to cry when I tell this, but my mom had a long range of medical issues, not cancer, thankfully, but she had triple bypass open heart surgery. She had 2 aortic bypasses. Like she was in the hospital in 1993 for, I want to say 3 months, and they gave my mother a 2% chance of living. So when I think at any point during this journey, if I think any point where I feel like I can't do it, I just think about her. And I always think about, and I told Ray the same story, growing up, seeing my mom in and out of the hospital, never heard her complain, not one time. So her strength is what I think about a lot. Even on the days, KB, when I feel like I can't, because I have those days, literally my only prayer to God is just give me a little bit of my mom's strength. Just pour a little bit in me so I can make it through the day. Only because I know that there are people that are depending on my life and depending on my story. So I can't falter and I can't waver and I can't act like everything that I feel about God is not real, because if I do that, then what I say is not real and I'm not a bullshitter. Excuse my mouth. Sorry.
I knew one of them was gonna come out.
But I'm sorry, Katie. I just, I live every day knowing and trusting that every day that I tell God, thank you for everything that He does for me, He'll give me another day to tell Him thank you. So as long as I do that every single day and I tell Him how grateful I am for everything that He does in my life, I don't have a reason. I don't have time to be upset, KB, or sad, because I focus more on healing and being happy. So when you focus on that, you ain't got time for nothing else. I just don't. This person has really been monumental to me during this journey, especially because I didn't have anyone the first time, just my dad. My dad was, of course, amazing, but I mean, relationship-wise, I was single. So I just had the support of my dad. But Ray has absolutely been a cornerstone to this journey. From doctor's appointments, and we were going to the doctor, KB, 3 or 4 times out of the week, every single week, from October until January. And Ray was at pretty much every appointment. If he couldn't get there, he was at work, of course. But I know the strength that Ray recognizes in me, and I refuse to compromise that. Like, I know who I am. I know what I can do. I know what God has put in me. So the only thing that I put out is what God puts in me. So that's how I carried in my marriage. Ray married a very happy, energetic, positive, outspoken person. So I just refuse to be anything else. No matter what's going on in my life, I'm still always going to be true to the foundation and the base of who Rosalind Cherie Royal Singleton is.
Come on, government names.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, KB. You got to go.
Okay, so Ray, I need to hear from you. I need to hear from you, sir, because I mean, I feel like that's a whole nother episode.
Being married to someone, you get what I mean? Like,
so we kind of, you come to relationships, right, your eyes better be wide open. Don't you close them eyes. You better know exactly what you're committing to, right? So you walk in this thing with your eyes wide open. You're in it. You're living it now. For you, how do you even do what you do? Like, what motivates your love for her? You know what I mean? And how do you cover and protect her and give her permission to even be broken and weak and discouraged on those days that she is? Like, how do you do that? And I know music is a huge part of that. I've seen that, you know, like, again, as I followed y'all from a distance, but I want to hear from you. How do you do that?
How do I love her?
Because I'm fantastic, honey. Hello. I'm fine.
Well, first of all, I mean, so the world gets a very, very small percentage of how wonderful this girl is. Now, don't get me wrong. We all don't like each other every time.
Correct.
We ain't gonna sugarcoat this.
Nobody likes everybody every day, so that's normal.
This woman is absolutely incredible. Her strength, her story, her spirit, her energy, like it's incredible. Like it truly is. So it was easy to love someone like that. Like it's easy to give myself to someone who I know I'm going to 100% get reciprocated what I'm giving out. And I was just so inspired by her, man, and I was in love with her. I'm still in love with her, and just the fact that she can get up every day with everything that she has and still find time to take care of me, find time to deal with my singing 24/7, find time to make sure I got something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Find time to make sure I'm good, even with all that she has going on. She's incredible, man. She's my superhero, for real. For real. It's easy. It's easy to love this girl.
Listen, y'all need to be on an episode of Black Love or something. I mean, we need to just make that happen, okay? I got like 4 degrees of separation, you know. Listen, no, listen, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your example, Ray. I mean, I feel like the gentlemen who watch this, the women who watch this, who aren't with someone, maybe they can aspire to be with a man who can be committed to a woman who is carrying a specific cross, right? You know, this is her particular lot, you know, and do it so well and so graciously. So shout out to y'all. Y'all are amazing. And again, I hope that that's an encouragement to folks. So y'all are over the hill. You have 2 more questions left. All right. The R for in the Heart Combos acronym stands for real. So it's not just about being real, but addressing real issues in real time. So what do you feel like the real issue is right now around cancer awareness in 2020?
I feel like there are ways that we could fix it. Number one, I feel like if there was more health awareness brought to it instead of financial awareness brought to it, we could fix it. I feel like it's not talked about enough just because it's such an unknown, because there's so many forms of cancer. I think that there should be more awareness to it, because instead of, you know, preaching drugs on people, we should preach healthy health practices. Healthy habits, better living. Even in the Black culture, we need to do way better, because we were raised on salt and fatback and greens, and you know what I'm saying? And I'm one of those people that eat fried everything. But since this situation has happened, yeah, I've had to get a whole lot better. I don't feel like we're having the realest, like I feel like we need to have conversations about cancer like we have them about race. Straight to the face, let's talk about it. This is what it is. And it's not happening. And I don't know if it's because of it's a scared thing or an intimidating thing, because when you say cancer to anybody, it's intimidating. But it has to be something that has to be discussed, because there are people like myself and my dad and countless numbers of other people and children that have cancer that nobody's talking about. We see the commercials, but we don't really know what's going on. And I feel like there needs to be way more awareness brought to it, because there has to be a reason why cancer comes out of nowhere to people. So I just feel like we need to have more real conversations about it, because it's not like a broken finger. It's really something that millions of people have going on in their lives every single day. And they need support, and they need help, and they need an outlet. So yeah.
Listen, I love it. I think one of the things that you said that I think really is like stare you dead in the face moment is like, we should be talking about cancer like we talk about race. You get what I mean? Like the issues around race right now in America. And I think the heart behind what you're saying, like that plea, like, can this be just as important, you know, like to people, to the point where they're willing to go to these great lengths, you know what I mean? Like beyond just...
And it really should be, honestly, Kristen, I feel, because I feel like at least if you have 5 friends, one of those friends knows somebody that has cancer. Guaranteed.
I would say 3.
Or 3.
Right, yeah, because that many people are affected.
And the crazy part about it is Ray, sadly, lost his uncle to cancer 2 months ago, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the thing about it is, again, it doesn't get discussed. It doesn't get talked about, because cancer is such a scary word. But if we can talk about all these other things that we talk about in this world, in this planet, on this country, we certainly can talk about the disease that's killing millions and millions of people every single day.
No, that's crazy, and that's good. And again, I'm hoping that this sparks a level of curiosity, you know, in people to go beyond, again, just the commercials, go beyond just, you know, Cancer Awareness Month. You're getting all those things.
Exactly. Because it's bigger than a ribbon. And I mean, I got a ribbon. You know what I'm saying? Wherever it is. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, I got a ribbon. You know what I'm saying? But it's far more than a ribbon, because the ribbon does justice, but it doesn't really shed a light on what that person that has that ribbon on them, what they went through. Physically, mentally, spiritually, like, it doesn't do it.
No, I get it. It's the same as saying like, hey, making a post about Black Lives Matter doesn't change the narrative. You get what I mean? Doesn't fix anything. Or someone, you know, wearing a shirt, you know, saying, say your name. It's significant. It brings awareness. But what does it change unless you're making phone calls, you're voting, you're doing those things that will affect the policies, the way the decisions are made. And I think the call to conversation that you're making is significant and needs to be loud and clear. So I think that's huge, and I appreciate you helping us to identify what the real issue is, because again, in the world that we live in, the real issue is always convoluted. Like, you get what I mean? Always. And always. It's never as plain and clear. Like, this is what the issue is. You ask 20 people what the issue is around cancer, you might get 20 different answers. So for you to be able to answer that, I think so directly is good. So you guys come to the last question, right, of our time today, and it is transparent. And this is my favorite of the 5, because when you are transparent, you allow people to see into the things that they wouldn't see unless you reveal them. So those are our expectations, our boundaries, our hopes, our dreams, our fears, those things. And so for you, transparently speaking, what are the next steps for you personally in your cancer journey?
You know, I have, number one, having this situation twice, Kristen. If it has taught me nothing, it's taught me to stop planning, number one.
That's a word.
Yeah.
Only because, you know, Ray and I had crazy plans. You know what I'm saying? Crazy plans for this year and even the last year. We were trying to have a baby last year, and then we found out this stuff. So my next journey, my next quest, is to keep doing what I talk to God about every single day. That's it. I just want to be happy. I just want to be healthy. I want to have peace. I want to have a happy marriage, a happy husband, a happy father, happy family and friends. That's it. Like I've learned, and I hate to say it, but I'm living day to day, paycheck by paycheck, only because I don't need to make plans, because clearly my plans are not the ones that matter. So the more that I talk to God, and the more he tells me, hey, you know, you're doing what you need to do. You're telling the world how great I am. You're telling the world how great strength is and what strength I've given you and what you need to do. So day to day, I talk to God every day. As long as he allows me to live, I just make sure I tell people how great he is. But as far as the situation goes, my prayer is that I'm done by the end of the year, before my birthday, January 16th. And the way that things are looking, it looks like I will be done soon, thankfully. So, you know, I'm just going to maintain the positive mantra that I have, positive peace that I have, and trusting God above every single thing that I have in my life, because that's literally the only single way that I get up every single day and am able to be Ros and Singleton. That's it. Because it's hard. Transparently, it is very, very hard. So transparently is also very hard. I can tell you this. Because when you're dealing, again, I'm dealing with the situation with cancer twice. And initially, before we started, Ray and I started the chemo process this time. I'm sure you know we had to do the embryo process, which we had to freeze the eggs, do all the needles, all that other stuff.
In vitro fertilization,
IVF. So we haven't done the IVF, but we did the embryo process to get them frozen. So thankfully we have 5 embryos that are frozen. But another transparent part of the journey, Kristen, is, and I'm sure you can understand this as a woman, it's a huge fear of mine that I won't be able to give my husband a child. I know that's not going to happen, but transparently dealing with the situation, it weighs on me heavily. And I know that that's not a deal breaker or anything, and I know that we're going to have a child. I'm not worried about it, but it sits in my spirit because you have to honestly have a faith and a reality basis when it comes to cancer. You just do. Reality is you have cancer every single day of your life. You go to sleep with it, you go to work with it, you eat with it, you talk to your friends with it. Every single day you deal with it, from the time you get up to the time you lay down. The faith part of it is God is above all, above cancer, above anything. So transparently, I do have moments where I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can do this. But then that's when that real factor comes in, and I ask God for favor, and I ask God for grace, and I ask God for strength, and I keep going. So transparently, my next journey is to only get better in health, only get better in God, and continue to be a great wife and a better wife to my husband. That's all I'm really focused on. And getting this money.
In case you didn't know.
I had to give you a little bit, Kristen. I had to give you a little bit. Just bitch. All right.
I have so many thoughts. Oh my gosh.
Right.
You just dropped a bomb.
Mini bomb.
Literally. I'm gonna have to stop. I gotta stop the tape. Okay.
I'm sorry. I know my Instagram doesn't really give, all these details about me that I'm really like deep like this. I know, because I'm gang, but
this is huge. Okay. So the first thing I heard you say is that your first part of your answer talking about this place of surrender. I've been trying to make plans, and every time I make a plan, God blows it up. So the tension that exists in that space of like, there are things I want to do, even if it's just as simple as I want to be able to say, I'm going to book a flight and be able to go on this trip. People, correct. So if you can't relate to anything to her story, you can relate to the feeling this year, at least in 2020, right? Of wanting to make a plan to do something and then being told you cannot do this, right? And so this surrendered, like, I'm trying to be surrendered to what God, I'm getting to the place where I'm just trying to be surrendered to what God wants. Because every time I try to insert my own will into things, it's not seeming to be what he wants. And after that happens so many times, you're either going to keep fighting against it, or you're just going to be like, all right. So for you to admit that, I just want to acknowledge, for you to admit that is huge, because a lot of people don't want to do it. And if they are doing it, they don't want to admit that they're doing it because that's not what we promote on spaces like this. We don't talk about that. We don't glamorize that, you know. So for you to be like, I'm actually not making plans. I'm trying to just keep my ear to the ground of what God is saying, because I've realized that my plans are not his plans right now.
At all. Like, not even in the least. So yeah, it's, and honestly, with the type of situation that Ray and I currently have going on, it's no point in even making a plan. Like, my only plans at this point, Kristen, that I have are to go to the doctor so they can tell me that I'm fine. That's it. I literally have no other plans. And I'm really only going to the doctor so they will know, because I already know that I don't have a situation. Like, the situation's gone. I let that situation go like last month, a couple weeks ago. I'm waiting on them to figure out that the situation is gone so we can stop doing this circus of a doctor's appointments and MRIs and blood and all that other stuff. So that's what I'm waiting on. That's the transparency of me, because I know that I'm fine. I gave cancer and all that stuff to God back in October. That's why I'm not worried about it.
Listen, the measure of faith that you have right now, let me just say it's encouraging. It's like, for real, there are people who just struggle to believe God and we're going to assume like, I'm assuming, are you a Christian?
I love God and I love Black Jesus, and that's where I stand.
Come on, Black Jesus, because he is. He wasn't white. For the record, if anybody was wondering, he's not white.
Because don't nobody white got hair like steel wool.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I ain't seen
Skin was
like bronze. I ain't seen not one bronze person white. Yeah. Not gonna do it. Black Jesus and God. That's what I got, honey.
So let me just from my vantage point, also believing in Jesus, who I don't believe is white. I just think what you're saying is huge. Like, it is hard for people to believe God for just basic things, you know, like day-to-day things, let alone healing. So I'm encouraged by the amount of faith and assurance that you have in God's ability to heal you if that is his will. You get what I'm saying? Like, and to have, you know, relieved you of whatever angst, stress, whatever. Because there again, people are like, I'm trying to believe God, but at the same time, they're carrying a lot of worry and anxiety. And so to hear you say, so I let that go a month ago, again, I just think it's an example. And I think a lot of people will be very encouraged to hear that part. The other thing that you said earlier that I thought was just huge, so these two things stood out, that aspect of surrender, but then the other side of it just being difficult every day to keep leaning in, especially with it being paycheck to paycheck or whatever. I just think not enough people hear not the struggle, because I don't want to glorify the struggle, but hear the reality that we live in a tension of living our best life and walking in, you know, our most authentic selves, and, you know what I'm saying, pursuing our dreams and all that kind of stuff. But then that everyday reality that sometimes doesn't match that, you know, and how you walk authentically and not pretend like, oh, everything's okay when it's not. But then also, you know what I mean, not completely being consumed by it all. You get what I mean? And so I don't know. I just feel like your authenticity, your honesty in our time today is going to encourage a lot of people, you know, to think about where they're putting their hope. You know what I mean? And so, and for me, I mean, just, I can't relate to a terminal illness, but that tension that you mentioned in some other spaces in my life, I'm like, I get that. And every day I'm like, Jesus, if you don't give me you acknowledge like this strength, right? This grace. If you don't give me the grace to do it, if you lift your grace an inch, it's a wrap. I'm consumed by all of it. You get what I mean? But I don't feel consumed by all of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that there's a grace carrying me through it. You know what I mean? So I love it. I love what you share. I love your story, Ray. You're an incredible example, you know what I'm saying, of commitment. And I just, in loyalty to your wife, I really hope men are encouraged by that. And y'all have been incredibly dope. I feel privileged to have been inserted into this part of your story. So thank you.
We feel privileged.
Yeah, definitely feel privileged for you having us. Absolutely. 100%.
No, y'all are awesome, and your story, I think, is going to continue to resound in the ears of a lot of people, and again, I hope bring a lot of encouragement. And so thank you guys again for joining me today on The Heart Seat. If you're watching and you enjoyed this content, I'll have information in the links below for how you can follow them and continue to watch their journey from afar. But then also, if you want want more access to more episodes, you can always become a Heart Convo member, and it'll be bonus content in the membership.
Are we Heart Convo members?
Yeah.
Hey, we can make y'all Heart Convo members too, honorary. We can just make y'all honorary Heart Convos members. Yes. So I need y'all to remember, it's not a hard conversation, it's a heart conversation. Until next time, peace.